I've mentioned this about 800 times before, but just in case this is news to you, I spent my formative years in Sweden before moving overseas. Whilst I've now been away for more than half of my life, there's no question that when it comes to language, history and identity, I'm still very much a Swede at heart. But you don't care about that, so why am I going on about it? Well, it's always fun to see products from the motherland do well on the international stage, whether that's Polestar EVs or Koenigsegg supercars, or, and I'm showing my age here, even the sophisticated and suave chef from the Muppet Show. When you happen to have a watch hobby, then obviously it's extra fun to keep an eye on what's happening in Sweden, and even extra fun to see people get mixed up about Swedish and Swiss. The Tusenö watch company released the Shellback, and it's been with some pride I've seen the overwhelmingly positive reception of this watch. I have to admit, I saw it and quite liked it, but not to the point of craving to own one. But the more I saw of it online, the more I started to get it. This is a carefully designed and well put together watch that really needs to be appreciated in person, and luckily I managed to borrow one to have a closer look. So before we get stuck into this, I happen to be in the unique position of knowing exactly how to pronounce the name, unlike my fellow YouTubers. So here's a quick lesson. Tusen means 1,000 and means island, pronounced as Tusenö. The team and watch hails from a place called Göteborg, the English version being Gothenburg, and this is Sweden's second largest city. It's surrounded by some stunning nature, of course, being right on the west coast of Sweden. What can feel like thousands of islands around. It's a landscape and location with prime access to the sea that immediately brings to mind Viking times. So, if you're still here after that little geography lesson, then thank you, and as a reward, let's take a closer look at the Shellback. Sometimes when I see a particularly great looking watch, I try to find out about the size immediately so I can dismiss it and move on without having to yet again rack my brains as to how I'll be able to finance another completely unnecessary luxury product. If that's you also, then I have bad news for you. This is the perfect size combination of 40mm wide, 47mm lug to lug and 20mm lug width. To have your wallet further tremble in fear here, I measured the thickness at a perfect 12.8mm, including the double dome sapphire crystal. You can't even use the "what if it rains" excuse since it's water resistant to 200 meters or 20 ATM. I will say this, the diameter of 40mm is measured in the slightly overhanging bezel. The case is more like 39mm, if that matters to you. Ultimately, we're here for this pretty face, right? And the closer you get, the more there is to appreciate. I have the blue version here with a vertical brush finish. It's clearly blue, but wearing the watch every day, it could be mistaken for being black, depending on the light. So if you're on the fence with blue watches, this could be the first one to try, the perfect gateway drug. The print is crisp and restrained. We get the logo and home city under 12, Swiss made hidden under the 6th position, and a bit of a smile dial Tudor approach of the modern name of Shellback above the 6 in a lovely curved fashion. Tusenö explains on their very informative landing page for this model that the name Shellback comes from an old ritual at sea, where sailors that crossed the equator would earn the title Shellback. Maybe that's not that hard today, but certainly a struggle in the olden days. The word origins from the toughness of a turtle shell, meaning that a sailor crossing the equator must be as tough as one. This is a classic sandwich dial with all the hour markers carved from the dial to reveal a lume plate underneath, and we'll certainly return to the lume soon. These markers are large and clear, and I think very successful in their approach. Even the date complication that I love to hate generally is larger than normal on a small watch, so it's easy to see for aging eyes, and perfectly incorporated into the 6th position. You can get yours without the date if you want to, which is nice. The icing on the cake here is the Mini-Track, which is again a perfect size to my eyes in that it becomes a proper feature, with a lovely vintage feel which is inspired by lighthouse characters on a sea chart. The signature hands are made to both capture the reflecting light with their polished bezels, but also plenty of lume added for all around visibility. And of course, that hole in the hour hand is extremely distinct. What is extra nice is that the hour hand hole gently passes over the smiley model name of Shellback, which is one of those little details that an owner would just come to love more over time. This is the stuff that matters, the extra little thinking and planning that is the true sign of an excellent design approach that feels no other reason other than proving to its owner that this little watch has a permanent place on your wrist and in your collection. Surrounding this double dome sapphire glass with plenty of AR coating is the 120 click unidirectional bezel with its ceramic inlay that's a slightly darker blue than the dial. Like many such bezels, it has that interesting reflection pattern that's almost like ice in its many facets in the light. It's also lumed and has a bona fide lume peep with steel surrounding. My one criticism, which is almost the only one on this watch, is how stiff it is. It's precise, it has that approach where the marker you're aiming for invites you to go just past it and slot back in place. But I'm telling you, unless you set this bezel on the boat before descending, you'll have no chance of being able to move it with wet hands. If your fingers are wet or greasy, no chance. Does that matter? Probably not, but it's a detail that the diver in me thinks is worth pointing out. The case is so lovely, with its long and slender lugs that follows the shape of the wrist. It reminds me very much of my very first video here on YouTube, the Halios Seaforth, and to me that's high praise indeed. It's mostly brushed with a bevel here and there to break up the shape a little. There are no dual lugs here since all strap options are quick release from the brand. The crown is easy to grip and also signed with the logo of Tusenö. It's just large enough for me to grip at around 7.4mm diameter and 3mm out from the case, which is good since you might be setting the date and time if you don't wear yours every day. The screw-in caseback has another large logo which to my eyes look fantastic. It hides an unusual choice of movement in the Ronda Meccano caliber R150. The owners discussed this on their website and chose it since it's reliable, quite thin, and more than anything accessible. So you get a good Swiss movement, perhaps from a brand more known for their quartz movements, but Swiss-made hacking and a decent 40-hour power reserve. The fully articulating bracelet with its screw-in links and plenty of space between its links is a very comfortable wear and I like it very much. It's also super easy to remove if you want to try something else, which is a bonus. It was changed based on feedback to having female end links, so even if you're a slighter wrist, it should fit you nicely since it falls straight off the edge of the case. This clasp design has been on the last few watches I've reviewed, and it is not one of my favorites. I find it too large, too agricultural, and particularly here, not elegant enough for such a lovely watch design. But I recognize that this is a very personal opinion, and I hope you don't share it. And it's also worth noting, you can change it pretty easily yourself if you're a big whinger like me. It has the ratcheting diver's extension and 3 micro adjusts, so function-wise it's good. It's also signed, which is to be expected here. The lume on this watch is excellent, with plenty of BGW9 applied. I obviously charged it up here before filming, but it glows easily throughout the night, and I dare say you will not be disappointed. Just this week, Tusenö announced another watch that seems very inspired by sailboats, so that's exciting, but even more so after having handled this lovely shellback. I can honestly say that it's exceeded all of my expectations. And if you've been undecided like me, I would highly recommend either buying a new, or since they've been around for a while, having a look at the various second-hand markets for watches. That said, have a look at their website, which is linked in the description. This is a micro brand that makes all of the info available, and that's great for people like me, but even better for people like you that may buy your own now. Sure, I love the Swedish connection here, but what I love even more is a truly unique, well-designed, moderately priced at $649 and plenty of interesting references on the dial and elsewhere. This is a big recommendation from me, and I hope you can find it in your budget to add one to your collection. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.